Hey everybody, I'm Skytrius, and today I want to show you my new product. It's called Vigil. Here's my website for it, and yeah, basically it's an Odin documentation and statistics viewer for your Odin codebase. So let's go over it quickly. There's on the website you can read up a little bit more about it and then finally buy it. It's $10, so nothing too crazy. And basically what you get is this application here that you see. Yeah, what you'll see when you start out is this screen, and then you have to go and pick a folder. Let me pick up a folder that I have here. So this is the Vigil folder itself. This is kind of how it'll start, or well, you have to be a little bit specific and actually pick the folder which contains all the source code. So in this case, this is it. Basically it just shows you kind of the outline of your code. It's essentially the same as what this website does from the Odin package library, where you can see all your, for example, for the intrusive list, you can see all the documentation. And what we can do, for example, is we can go ahead and I've the core Odin here, for example, and we can kind of go to the same list. So let's do here. So container intrusive list Odin. It's essentially the same shtick, where it kind of looks this way. It's not fully the same, but yeah. So basically this is a documentation viewer for local code bases, and it shows you a lot of information. So when we go back to the dashboard, so right now we're in the Odin source code. It shows you kind of the general statistics about Odin. So for example, 200,000 lines right now. How many procedures, how many definitions, constants, how many files, packages. Also a little bit about how many comments there are, whatever that means to you. A little bit of who worked on this code base. Then we have a package table here that you can sort via file amount or whatever, right? However you want. And there's also this thing here, documentation gaps, whatever. This program, it's kind of there to help you write documentation as well. So if it makes sense, like for example, load from context, this is a big function that load from. Here it is, load from context. This is a big function we could open here. Let's see if that worked. Yeah, so this is a big function. And you can see I opened it from Vigil itself with this little button here. You can also do open source location with right-click menus. So maybe this function is like one of the first things you maybe want to document. You can also just go in here and then you can enter some documentation. Hello. Yeah, so this will apply it to the actual code base. So be aware of that. It can overwrite code if you have pending changes or whatever. But yeah, now what we'll see here is it should have updated the description here, hello testing. And so basically you can kind of document your code from within Vigil, which is useful maybe. And we can jump back. So here, the documentation gaps is that. Then there's also a few tabs here that you can go through. For example, the favorites tab. I've tagged a few things as favorites here with a star, and we can go back and forth. Tracking allocator may be interesting to some. And so it's kind of like a web browser feel where you can also jump to links and back, like allocator error here, this kind of stuff. I've tried my best with this stuff to make it feel similar-ish to what the website provided, but there may still be some bugs left, so anything you'll find, please let me know. On the Discord for Odin, we now have a channel for Vigil, so there's a feedback channel for that. There's also a few features like package graph here, which we can zoom out. So for the Odin code base, this obviously looks a bit crazy. You can see all the crazy packages that we have in detail. This is kind of modeled after the Obsidian like graphing thing. So core has image, and then there's JPEG, PNG, all that sort of cool stuff. And we can go back to my Vigil code base, for example, see how the graph looks here. Not that interesting. We just have the source code, the UI library in this case, menuing, file system watching, docs, stats, whatever. This does look wrong. Either way. Then we also have, Vigil has, I see why. Source Vigil. Now this makes more sense. Yeah. Okay, so we also have the Learn tab, which is essentially overview here, which is essentially this page embedded into Vigil. I asked Bill if that was fine. You can essentially view the full overview. It may not be up to date. That's one thing. It doesn't fetch it from the internet. I've just shipped it with it. So for up-to-date stuff, go over to it. But if you need to read up on anything, I've tried my best getting it sort of proper here, and then like being able to jump from one or to the other, that sort of stuff. So yeah. So Workspaces in general is just a quick way to like change the code base you're inspecting. So for example, this is the Odin vendor packages. So in vendor we have Lua, STB, then you can sort of jump from one to the other. You can pin them, you can pin them on the right if you want to see or inspect anything. This will also list any like recursive imports, which might be interesting, like here. This one, Lua 5.3, import space, built-in, libc. So yeah, this mostly makes sense if you want to get like a general overview, I guess. In settings, really, it's there are options to set in which text editor you want to open code in. So let's say right now I have Z selected. I can also select VS Code. Then I can go over here. I can press that button. And then I'm here at the specified line. So yeah, that should work pretty smoothly. And then there's also custom, which if anything is not supported here, you can try and make your own shell script-ish open. Yeah, before I go into the UI, let's kind of look over the rest of it. So, I mean, really, it's about the dashboard and then about being able to kind of inspect all the stuff that we have here. So let's go maybe into Vigil again. So for example, it's really up to you how you use this stuff. So for example, in UI, I have a big UI package in my source code, and I have some element Odin, which is not that big actually. You can see a minimap on the right, by the way, which kind of shows you in terms of vague colors. So green would be an enum, and then we can see, oh, there's another enum here. Let's scroll down to it, and it is an enum. And then on the other hand, the blue ones are procedures. If you do not like these colors, you can customize them. And then the little gray regions mostly mean they are commented. So yeah. So we can see a lot of these things here are not commented or documented. So it's optional, obviously, but it's just another way to see quickly on the scroll bar where you are and what is commented. So just vaguely looking at the scroll bar, you can kind of take a guess. So blue or light blue is the struct, then a bunch of procedures, and here at the bottom, the last procedure, that sort of thing, So it's pretty cool in that way. And again, you can favorite things. You can go back and forth. I have a bunch of things here favorited. Color maybe. And yeah, so that's about it. That's pretty much Vigil in a nutshell. It also has a quick open feature, which may not be good or bad, but it also supports a bit of operators here in the bottom. So I can look for element, for example, the thing that we were just on. That's an actual Odin element, or how do you say, symbol. And yeah. Sorry, this is a pretty unscripted video. But that's pretty much Vigil in a nutshell. It's mostly a documentation viewer. It's up to you how useful you find this. Maybe you find it useful, maybe don't. I use it more in the way that, or one of the big things for me recently has been going more for AI-driven development. So I don't really code anymore. I just look at the vague things we have here. So card make, that sort of thing. It's not really about the code for me anymore. If I need to look into the code, I can. And for me, that's kind of my new workflow. I only really look into the code if something is like severely broken. And then the rest of it is just done through AI for me now. Like this project itself, it was built with AI. Like, let's say like 90% of the code base was written with it. So it was also a big test for me to see how well can I make something within Odin with just AI. And it's scary how good it is. Finishing this project would have taken me ages otherwise. That's the one thing that I think is clear to me. And like it's so crazy to me now because like I never really liked writing code as myself. I mostly liked finishing something, shipping something, having something that people can use and find useful. And this is one such example where this is useful to some people. I find it useful when working with my Odin code. Hopefully it's useful in other aspects as well. But all I'm saying is give it a try, see if it works for you. This is Odin specific, so it doesn't work for other programming languages. So keep that in mind. One last thing. Something that's special about Vigil is that it's software rendered. So you will see it's not using the GPU at all. It's just doing software rendering. And it still looks pretty good, I would say. So I've put in a lot of effort in making a custom UI and in making a custom renderer that only does software rendering. And what this allows me to do as a developer is to pretty much ship the same UI and the same rendering pipeline for multiple operating systems. So what you'll see, Vigil ships for all major 3 OSs here: Mac OS, Linux, Windows, and it looks exactly the same everywhere and feels the same. And it only does software rendering, right? I think that's a cool thing. So it's very easy to use, very simple to use. And for me as a developer, it's really, really easy to develop. Okay, and so basically the way I've done it here, I've written a blog about this as well, about how I've done all of this. It's here on my blog that I'll share as well with the video. This talks a little bit about the difficulties, and basically what you see here, I'm ending up with, I have some vector rendering pipeline that renders elements like my logo or some UI components that you can see here. It renders them at some form of size, and then it outputs an atlas. So what we can see here, if I go into the code base, for Graphite Silk theme, this is the atlas that's generated for it at this specific 1x size. So this is pretty interesting to me because this workflow is pretty much perfect to me. And you can see here, those are just those are all the elements that I have in the UI. So there's a lot of surfaces, backgrounds, rounded backgrounds. There's also versions with selections, focus highlights, and then here at the bottom you can also see all the special graphics that I have as well, or like fixed graphics are also done this way, or icons here that you can barely see are also done in this way, and it's pretty cool. This is essentially my new way of making UI, and yeah, I'll talk more about this specific stuff in another video I'll do after this, which kind of goes over all of that. But yeah, to me, this achieved pretty much being able to change themes or the look of a UI with just saying, so for example, the white theme was porcelain. This was just this, right? If we go back to this, it's porcelain. That's the look for this UI. And then if I go over to dark mode, this is, in my case, it's called dark X or dark. And this just switches over to this atlas. So it's stupid, simple, but really, really good. And it allows me to switch very, very easily, right? And also the UI can look pretty different. Like if I go over here now, so this is a dashboard on that. Then I have offset paper, which is like this crazy one, or a crazy flat theme. And we could go back here. Graphite Silk, that was the dark-ish with metal-like stuff. Then there's also this rose one. I'm not too sure I like this one, but it's fine. You know, it's it depends on what you like, what you don't like. But you know, it kind of changes the whole way the UI looks, or at least elements look. And it's very easy to do this with software rendering, as you just kind of switch out the atlas that you have, and as long as everything else kind of abides by that, it works out in this way. So yeah, that's the final thing I wanted to show you guys. So yeah, if anything else, there's also some other stuff you can read through here. There's also the local folder, which contains logs if you have crashes, or the session file for the workspaces if anything is wrong there. And for the minimap colors per theme, you can kind of customize it here with this little selector. So yeah, that's about it. Again, if you have any feedback, please leave it in the Discord channel, on the Odin Discord. And if you have any other questions, please let me know in the video or in the comments. And I hope this video wasn't too bad. So, see ya.